What is up, my nerds, and welcome back to the episode of The Nerdy Mind. Yes, we are back. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for being here. If you're watching, thank you all for watching the videos. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, thank you all for listening. And please hit the follow button so that way you get updated on any new episodes that are uploaded. Don't have a guest today other than my pal Goose here. Goose is a lovable golden retriever. He is my best buddy around. Thing about Goose, though, is that he has a little bit of a demon side to him, and it kind of goes like this.
Hello, I'm Goose, and I am hungry.
Yeah, and it kind of gets a little scary, especially at nighttime, when I'm in dead sleep. And this guy, wakes me up by saying,
Dad, I have to poo.
And then I'm like, whoa, buddy. I need you to settle down, put the demon back, and we'll go outside, okay? But yes, all joking aside, Goose is our golden retriever. Me and Nicole got him last Christmas Eve, so he's coming up soon on his birthday. I don't want to rush it along, but let's get to the point of the show. I thought today we would talk about the Ring of Power. Yes, the Ring of Power on Amazon Prime. If you don't know what the Ring of Power is about, is essentially... yes, it is built in Tolkien's world of Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth, but it essentially is about the before part of Lord of the Rings when Sauron was pretty much taking up the mantle of the Dark Lord, but in secret, they thought that Morgoth and Sauron were defeated, and overall that the world was going to be okay. But he pretty much hid himself in secret. He deceived a lot of people, especially Celebrimbor. If you do not know who Celebrimbor is, he is the main elf smith who made the Rings of Power. He was a great warrior, but also a great smith as well. Yes, so he's the one who made the 3 rings for the elves, 7 for the dwarves, and 9 rings for men. And then didn't realize that Sauron was manipulating him, and pretty much Sauron made the One Ring himself in Mordor to essentially control and manipulate the other rings. Now, me talking about that, I compare it a lot to Lord of the Rings, and it's hard to do because Lord of the Rings is deep to my heart, and I love Lord of the Rings and Peter Jackson's adaptation of Lord of the Rings. I would say to me, the overall aspect of the show is trying to mirror what Lord of the Rings was, but it's kind of missing the mark because it kind of steps away from Tolkien's view of what it was. It doesn't really follow source material other than a few key things. It kind of has its own liberties on what it wants to be, where I would say in Peter Jackson's, they didn't show everything and they don't go by everything, but they stayed pretty close to what Lord of the Rings was. And that's why I think it was such a cult thing, so cult following, and such an amazing movies. Not just a movie, it's 3 movies. And it had it's still loved to this day. Like, I have a Lord of the Rings marathon every fall, and fall is here. It's coming up, so I'm due to watch Lord of the Rings, the extended cut. If you watch Lord of the Rings, you have to watch the extended cut, a whole day event. Why not? Okay, I'm going to be honest. It sucks. It's just like they can't tell a story. To me, they're not telling a story. Like, they're just shoving. They're like, hey, Lord of the Rings stuff. You got elves, orcs, and trolls, and Sauron, the big bad. And yeah, you're going to love it. And they don't really do any character development. They can't tell a story for shit. And, to me, there's no cohesiveness, at least in Lord of the Rings. Like, is brand new. Like, just the first scene of Lord of the Rings, it goes, you hear Galadriel narrating, there were the rings of power, the 3 to the elves, 7 to the dwarves, and 9 to the men. Okay, cool. Next, now Sauron made another ring, a master ring, on his own in the depths of the volcano of Mount Doom in Mordor. Okay, following along. And he decided that he was going to take over the world. Okay, we do not like him. Cool. Don't like that guy. Big bad. Don't like him. We like these guys. Cool. And then continuing on. Oh, there's a big battle. Men and elves stand against this big bad. Okay, cool. Epic battle scene. Love it. A little bit of this and that. And then they defeat him. Oh, but the ring is, corrupts the men, of course. And then, it disappears, goes into history. Okay, cool. So then we move on to the hobbits. Okay, so now we know, just in that first scene, who the big bad is, who the good people are, why they were fighting, and what the whole fucking plot of Lord of the Rings is about. In 10 seconds. Like, at least I would, how long is the scene? Maybe 5 minutes, maybe, if that. Where literally season 1 and now season 2, they haven't finished season 2 yet. I'm still watching it. They kind of play this mind game of who the big bad is. You kind of have the mysterious thing in season 1 where they talk about, Morgoth and Sauron, and he's mysterious and disappeared and all this other crap. Like, the characters aren't really following Lord of the Rings. Like, Galadriel is like this crazy assassin warrior. Like, the first scene in The Ring of Power season 1, she's scaling an ice wall. She's scaling an ice wall with daggers with a team of elves behind her. I'm like, I didn't know Galadriel was a warrior. Didn't know that. There's like a little bit of things like saying, like describing who Galadriel was, but they doesn't state that she was like a warrior. And then you got Elrond and he's like in Lord of the Rings, he's like a big warrior, big guy for the rebellion. Essentially, they show him in the battle, murking orcs, trying to stop Isildur from taking the ring. He wants him to destroy it. In the show, he's like weirdly odd and like kind of like quirky / awkward, and it's just kind of goofy. Who else? Oh, you gotta have Lord of the Rings with Legolas, but hey, they couldn't get Orlando Bloom to play Legolas, so we're gonna have a fake Legolas, and he's gonna be badass and do flippies and he's a great archer and all this other shit. But this dude gets bodied more than any one of the main characters I've ever seen. I could be wrong, but I've never seen Legolas get thrown around like this dude does. Legolas was fleet of foot. He could walk on top of snow as everyone else is, sunken deep in there. He could shoot arrows across the fucking realm. He can see far. He's just badass. And this elf that they have to be the Legolas character can't do that shit. Oh, then he's pretty cool with knives and swords and a bow, don't get me wrong, but he gets beat up bad a lot. Who else we got? Need a wizard character. We definitely need a wizard character. We don't have confirmation that he is a wizard, but we kind of assume that because he can do magic. So this dude literally comes from the sky, plummets, hits the ground, is like in a meteor style, like crater, naked, everything's on fire, and for the first season, he can't speak. He's literally like a grown ass man baby. He can't talk. He literally says like one word here and there. Doesn't know who he is, where he came from. And the problem is, if this character is Gandalf, they're definitely not going off source material because we're technically in the second age of everything, and Gandalf doesn't come until near the beginning of the third age, or he comes in the beginning of the third age. So now I say ages. Now these time periods or ages are like 3,000 and a few hundred years in. That's how long the time periods are. So yeah, it's a long freaking time. And I hope they don't say that he is Gandalf. Maybe he might be Saruman. I don't know. I'm just making things up as I go because I don't want it to be Gandalf. I kind of want it to be someone else. Now make it some other character. I don't know. And to go along with the Gandalf is wizard character, you need a hobbit. You need a hobbit character, and these are like halflings. The beginning, they literally look like before maybe the hobbits discovered the Shire. Maybe I think that's what they're kind of like searching for, is like their like the main home that they're from. And we need a Sam, we need a Frodo, so they throw these two characters at us that journey with said wizard character. And I'll be honest, I could care a less about these three characters because they don't do anything in the show to make you care about them. Like, they're just there. It's almost like, okay, guys, we've had too much fighting. We've had too much fight scenes. We've had too much excitement. So let's go on a boring adventure with these three characters. Oh, my God. I know I'm not the only one that can I hate to gripe so much, but this is something deep to me, and I love Lord of the Rings a lot. And I think I'm not the only one who feels this way. I talked about pacing earlier. Like, there's so much dialogue. There's so much dialogue that you're like literally an episode of them just talking about stuff. They literally just say elven words or Tolkien-ish things, and you're just like, what is going on? Like, what are you talking about? And like, they shove so much at you, and there's so much Tolkien-ish things going on, you kind of lose interest. You kind of, at least in Lord of the Rings, like how the pacing was, like, they got to the fucking point, man. They literally did. They got to the point, like, okay, I'm going to continue. I'm going to pretty much basically tell you the fucking story of Lord of the Rings. If you haven't seen it, I hope you have, because damn. We know who the big bad is. We know who the good characters are. We get to have some fun with some hobbits, and then, feel bad because, Bilbo's feeling lost in his, I guess, freaking midlife or end of life crisis type of thing. And, gives everything to him. But then we realize Gandalf starts to realize something is wrong and starts to do things. And all of a sudden we realize, oh shit, this is bad. We need to get the ring to Elrond, have a council, talk about this so we can talk about destroying it. That is literally within in 6 scenes in the show. And you get to see some cool ass evil creatures in there. And then the Ring of Power can't do that. They literally just say, all right, Sauron's bad. We need to find him. That's it. Sauron's bad. We need to defeat him. Like, they don't even talk about how they're going to do it. They don't talk about where to find him, the team to do it. They don't even, like, no one is, like, talking to each other. No one's, like, working with each other. And that's what's weird, too, is because, the the elves and dwarves didn't really not like each other. I mean, they might have like had beefs in here and there, but like they literally kind of like take what they seen from the movies of Lord of the Rings and like add it to this. Where if you read like backstories, like the dwarves and elves kind of work together because like Khazad-dûm, let's bring Khazad-dûm up right now. The elves were able to pass through and go back and forth and trade and stuff like that. And then it wasn't towards the end where Sauron was causing problems when they had to close, the gates and stuff like that and isolate themselves in the mountains. And that's when they started kind of like not giving a shit about anyone else. So them adding that into this is kind of weird. There's no relationships. There's no like anything. Like elves are just dicks in this. The main point of this is to talk about Celebrimbor and Sauron. Sauron manipulating Celebrimbor to make rings of power to give to the elves, dwarves, and men. So that way he can manipulate them and control them to essentially take over. Now, if you do not know who Celebrimbor is, like I said, he's a smith and a warrior. If you ever played the games Shadow of Mordor, follow that. That is exactly who Celebrimbor is. And, Celebrimbor in this, he's very, like, awkward. He's very awkward and weird. And I think it's just acting, honestly. I think none of these characters none of these actors I've ever heard of. And I think it's just to do with acting or how it's shot or whatever, the directing. And, you have Sauron and Celebrimbor pretty much having, like, a, like, like you see they're making like the ore and melting it down to make these rings, and like they show like a scene of that mixing in with the mithril.
I get the money and it's right on cue. Keep the duffel bag up inside my coupe. Hold a couple racks, tell them I love you. You wanna be a boss, do it like I do.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, and they're like having a good ass time in the smithing room. It's just weird to me. Like, they don't really go into any stories about Celebrimbor. They just said he's a great smith, and they don't say anything that he's made. They don't do any of that, and they don't show any of his feats. So you're just like, okay, cool. But he's very awkward about it, and this is where I keep talking about the pacing of the show, because then he makes the rings, or at least the 3 rings for the elves, and then Sauron starts to deceive him. The Elven King doesn't want him to make any more. They have them. Now they start to get abilities so that or enhances their abilities so that way they can, defeat Sauron and find him and to defeat him. But then Sauron deceives him, saying, no, that's not what the Elf King says. He wants you to make more. So let's make them for the dwarves. So he makes 9 of these and gives them to Doran the Third to give out to the dwarf lords. Now, Doran the Third starts to wear one, and he just starts getting enhanced abilities as well. He can talk to the mountains, and the mountains tell him where the sunlight is, and so that way they can grow things and all this other stuff, and that's kind of weird. But later on, he starts to develop like mood problems, like it enhances his a-holeness, and he starts to kind of become greedy, arrogant, and stuff like that. And they start talking about like digging deep. We got to go deeper. We got to go deeper into the mountain, get more gold and mithril and all this other stuff. And when they said that, it made me trigger myself a little bit. I'm like, they're not going to like show the Balrog, are they? Like, the Balrog, Doran's Bane,
comes from down deep in the depths of the mountain.
He is essentially comes, as like Gandalf, comes from the Third Age. He's considered Doran's Bane is another name for him, and that's because he kills Doran the Sixth. So we are way too early to have a Balrog enter the realm of Middle Earth right now. Khazad-dûm is popping, it's going off, but it's kind of weird. They kind of hint to the Balrog because like they start like showing like a mysterious mine shaft that they're digging, and then all of a sudden like they cut and you hear something rustling below the earth. So it's just like, come on. This is another thing where I keep saying like they just shove more Lord of the Rings stuff at you, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to just enjoy this because, hey, Lord of the Rings, Balrog, right? One of the number one gripes I have about this show is that it loses its identity. It loses what it is as a show or overall series because Tolkien didn't really leave any gray area about what good and evil is. Orcs, Balrogs, Sauron, Morgoth, trolls, goblins are evil. Where you have some men are evil, but we have the men, dwarves, elves, hobbits, ents, eagles, and other things that are good in Middle Earth. And there is no gray line. The orcs sided with Sauron and decided to take up arms against the free people of Middle Earth. Yes, Morgoth corrupted elves to make orcs, but that is what it is. And they're brutal in killing people. Whereas the show wants you to feel bad for orcs. They want you to feel bad for orcs because orcs have families now. There's an orc, a male orc, where he talks to the head orc leader and says, "Why do we have to go to battle? We do not have to go to war. We can stay here in the village and take care of our orc families, and I have a child." I'm like, orcs have families now? Like, what is this? What is it? Hold on. I'm getting something. Sorry, we have a quick sponsor about a sponsored commercial about orc families. Let's listen.
In the lands of Mordor, darkness falls not only on the battlefield, but on the lives of countless orc families in need. While their fathers fight in distant wars, their children, small, tusked, and full of potential, are left behind, struggling to survive. For just 30 silver coins a month, you can make a difference. Your generous donation can provide orc families with the essentials: fresh meat.
Fresh meat. That's all they want. Yeah. 30 cents, guys. That's all it takes. Or, sorry, not cents. That's our money. They 30 silver pieces? Yeah, 30 silver coins. That's all it's going to take. Save orc families, guys. Let's do it. Let's stop orc hatred. Let's bring them in to the fray. They just want to have families. They just want to have families and live, man. They love it. That's what it's crazy to me. Amazon Prime, it kind of like, what are they doing? It doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. I can at least say this. I'm gonna stop griping. I can say at least. Thank you, Amazon Prime, for at least trying to bring a different story to Lord of the Rings fans. Yes, there's the Silmarillion. There's other stories that Tolkien has created and backstories that Tolkien has created. I mean, Tolkien has made a fucking world out of this. He pretty much is God and made it a world, and he created languages, man. Like, this dude sat down getting high as shit, making languages. Maybe, okay, this is a funny thing, but like maybe he was getting high and literally just like saying gibberish shit in the corner, and then he's like, I'm writing this down. What did I say? So blah blah blah. And then like he just wrote it down and became Elvish language or the language of Mordor, and just like he started doing all this stuff. And what's cool, but I can at least say a thank you, Amazon Prime, for at least trying to bring us a different story. Because if there's one thing for me is that I can never get enough of Lord of the Rings. I love the games. I love the books. I love the series. movies. I love it. I love everything about it, and I can at least say thank you for trying. Thank you for at least trying to bring us back to Middle Earth for something cool, especially telling the story of the making of the Rings of Power. Because it's not really wide known. So it's kind of cool for other people who don't know Lord of the Rings like that to kind of join in and watch something and get to know it. But you definitely missed the mark. And yeah, I think you're going to continue to get hate about it. I don't think that you can change up and not get hate, because I think you will. I think you're going to. But I'm going to stop beating it. I'm going to stop beating a dead horse, and I'm going to close out here. You know, guys, that's all I have for you. Pretty much talking about Lord of the Rings and griping about it. And, you know, it's a little short of an episode, but it's okay. I'm getting back into the feel of it. I overall am happy to be back. I have a new setup. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling like a brand new host to y'all and to bring you some funny content. I'm going to add a few things in here. You know, I'm sorry I was gone for a while. I just needed a break. I needed a refresh. A lot of things were going on, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm back now. I'm definitely putting a lot of effort into these episodes, adding funnier things, try to be more comedic, not, you know, frumpy dumpy alone. I'm trying to give more energy, you know, trying to bring it out. Know that there are changes being made into the studio, and I will have guests on. I'm trying to make more of a loungy but relaxing time for us in the studio here. And I'm just going to keep you up to date with that every episode as I go along. It's going to be fun. You know, it's definitely going to be fun. It's definitely going to be more candid. I have two different... I'm shooting on a new camera here, and I have another one to shoot the guest as well. So they're both the same quality cameras, same everything. So that way nothing is different. Same mics. I'm investing a lot of time and money into this because I think... and I know and I want this podcast to be the greatest and best nerdy podcast out there. And not just the nerdiest podcast, the nerdiest channel and the best nerdy channel. I think we can do it. So please, if you're watching the videos, like, comment, and subscribe. Please leave a comment. I do not mind comments. I will answer you. Please leave a message on what you want me to talk about next. If I don't know it, I will definitely watch it and give it a chance and give you my honest review of it. If you're listening, please follow the channel. I know you probably already found me in the search, but at least hit the follow so that way you get a notification every time I upload a new episode. Now just know that I'm not going to be uploading an episode every week right now. I used to, but I felt like the quality of the show was just down. I didn't have enough energy and time, or I didn't have put in enough effort into this. So I think I'm going to do it every other week. So this is coming out. This is out today on Tuesday, the 17th. But so it's not going to be next Tuesday. It's going to be the following. And it just gives me more time to put more effort into the editing, put more time into the fun part of it, and give you guys fun things. But I'm going to end it here. I just want to say thank you all again. And as always, stay nerdy, my friends.